This probing indicated that Arthur was interested in her beyond the mere sharing of an hors d'oeuvres plate. Arthur played mock shock. "You're actually single? Well, it must be my lucky evening." He seemed to be congratulating himself. Arthur went on to confess that he was single as well and had been for some time. He expressed that the modern-day woman didn't like commitments or to be loyal in relationships, so he had sadly got to the stage where he didn't trust women very much anymore. Jerry thought in her mind, "I'm going to change that for you." The conversation was dynamic and moved through many topics and songs and political philosophy and life goals and relationship preferences. The plate of food was done. They were each a few drinks later, and they decided to dance to a song they both liked. Arthur was so very immodest. He held Jerry tightly and pulled her tightly onto him so that she was crushed against the whole length of his frame and felt him. The dancing took them to slower and slower movements until Jerry felt Arthur's lips on her neck. Her entire body caught fire. She pressed onto him tightly and desperately as he pulled her to him firmly and desperately. Susie cleared her throat and coughed as she came up to them. "Well, I see you're getting a ride home already," Susie said. Arthur released his grip from Jerry's waist, extended his hand to Susie and shook it and introduced himself, then complimented her on the accuracy of her assumption. "I'm definitely dropping this lady home," he said. "You can run along now." Susie was not content with that. She said, "I need a business card, and to warn you that I'll call the cops immediately if you mess up." She extended her hand in a half-joking but quite serious way all at once. Arthur whipped out his business card, pointed to different people around the pool who he said could be her references for his outstanding character and his keen sense of responsibility. "I am not going to let anyone else drive my Maserati," he joked, "which is what will happen if I go to jail. So your friend here is as safe as if she were in church. You could put your last $2 on that." Susie gave him an amused stare and hugged Jerry. "You take care, girlfriend, and go straight home." Both Arthur and Jerry solemnly promised to do so as Susie skipped along giggling and laughing as usual, and Jerry's girls left. 2 more songs into the dancing, and Jerry expressed that it was time that she got home as well. Arthur gallantly put out his arm for Jerry to take it and told her, "Your chariot awaits, madam." The navy blue Maserati was fast. It wasn't long before Arthur was pulling up in front of Jerry's home. He looked up at the house. It was modest, but he said, "Nice, but not as nice as mine," he boasted with a boyish grin. "Yeah," said Jerry. "Well, where is that?" "Back where we came from," said Arthur matter-of-factly. "Oh my God," said Jerry. "So why did you offer to drop me home?" Her brain backspaced to the opulent mansion she had just spent the evening in. He was the owner of that house. Wow, he's loaded, she thought inside her head. Arthur got serious, looked Jerry in her eyes, and said, "When a woman's beauty mesmerizes a man, he is willing to keep her in his arms even if it's for just a few minutes more." Arthur's eyes smiled, his chin dimple smiled, and before Jerry knew it, his mouth locked hers with a kiss that she felt down to the floor of her stomach. It was soft. It was long. It was dynamite sensual. Jerry was stunned. Arthur pulled away and Jerry moved to get away as fast as she could before something happened that she would regret. She opened the car door and said good night as she was closing it, and almost trotted to her front door. But she heard another car door close and the car alarms set behind her, and there was Arthur, right to the back of her as her key finally opened her door. It was like they stepped inside together, and Arthur closed the door and took her hand hurriedly as he guided her to the living room couch. "Oh my gosh, Arthur, I'm still getting over the heartbreak from my ex. I'm getting too old for games. I need a long-term relationship that goes somewhere. I'm fragile, and I have to be very careful with myself." He stopped kissing her neck for a minute. "Don't you trust your heart?" Arthur spoke in the softest of tones. "Sometimes you have to let go and just let fate take its course," he said. He spoke all the while touching her hair, her shoulders and the small of her back. Jerry couldn't resist his voice, his cologne, his charisma, his masculinity. She allowed his voice to lull her into the comfort of thinking that even though this situation was sudden, that it felt right. Scene found in the book. Jerry was shocked. "Aren't you supposed to pull out?" she asked him. "You're not wearing a condom.